You ready, Sheila?
Except communication. That's the details. Yeah, so we can answer you. Should we check from frontage lines?
All right.
Checks. But the acreage is big enough.
See if it's important.
That's the big thing. These ones over here.
Okay, so I guess our first order of business is public input. Citizens can make comments to the commission. We ask citizens who speak on agenda items to sign in on the sheet provided on the table, the back of the council chambers. There's a 3-minute time limit for each speaker. Pursuant to state open meeting laws, the Planning and Zoning Commission cannot discuss or take action on items not posted on the agenda. So, anybody have any comments? I don't have any listed. Sheila, anybody? All right, then I'll close the public input. So the next item on the agenda is public hearing. The Planning and Zoning Commission of Application will conduct a public hearing for the purpose of hearing any and all comments regarding the concept plan for Pilot Knoll Estates, being a 20.018 acre tract of land situated in the C. Cookson Survey, abstract number 270, Denton County, Texas, being a portion of that tract of land described to Pilot Knoll Farms Ltd. The address of the property is 1700 Bishop Lane, Copper Canyon, Texas. So we will open the public hearing on that. Is there anyone who would like to speak on this? Somebody to speak? Would you take the microphone? It's all yours. Introduce yourself.
Yes, sir. I don't know if this is okay, too loud or too
Good.
It won't.
okay. I experienced that in the YouTube video that I tried to listen in the last meeting. Hello, everybody. My name is Daniel Lozano. I'm the CEO of Devilex USA, which is a real estate development company, and we've been in business for 12 years. As you can listen to my English, I'm from Mexico. I moved here 12 years ago, and we have a construction company back in Mexico, family business, and we decided to start developing residential property here to counterbalance the market that we attend in Mexico that is mainly industrial. We're based in Guanajuato, in the middle of the country. We work for a lot of international companies. Mainly our biggest customer is General Motors. So down there we do warehouses, civil works, a lot of things that needs to be assessed by the automotive facilities to develop their whatever product they do. Right now we have General Motors, Toyota, Mazda, Audi that we work with. That's our main focus back in Mexico, right? And trying to counterbalance the market that we attend. My business partner, Aiden, and I, we just moved here. Aiden is an American citizen now. I'm living here on a business visa. I still travel back and forth because I handle some of the commercial things in Mexico, and I'm the head of the company here in the US. So Devilex, I know this was one of the main doubts in the previous meeting that I couldn't be here. I apologize. Our engineer firm, Selim, I represent them. She helped us to talk to you guys, and I know there was a lot of questions. Who was who? So Devilex is a holding company that have 4 different companies in the US that are all named Pegaso. One is Pegaso Developments, one is Pegaso Holding Group, one is Pegaso Construction Corp, and one is PHG. We divide the business in 4 areas because we start back in the days, we started just building. We didn't have this idea of being an umbrella of developing properties. Our main area of expertise was construction because of what we had back in Mexico. And that's why we start with one, and then we start growing a little bit, and the need of became a real estate developer show up, right? And I started doing this coordinating tasks with between the efforts to find land, to design and review engineering, and then I will do the sales process that we have an in-house realtor. We have the license here because we were buying land and selling property already built, right? So I had the chance to find this land like probably a year ago. I don't remember if like 10 months ago. And I've been trying to talk to you and just find the best way that make this happen for everybody. Right now I live in the area. I wish, if this is approved and everything goes good, I wish I can live in Cooper Canyon. If this happens, I will keep one for me and one for Aiden. We both live in Lantana, and we have small kids, and I really like this area. And this particular land, I think is pretty interesting as far as how the development is going up, and it's pretty close to everything now. So I really appreciate the time for you to go back and forth with the project. Chris has been really helpful. I don't think I could get to this point without your help, and obviously the firm that we're using that help us with 2-3 things to get to the point that the project is looking feasible on paper now. Do you know, in this, I don't want to call it small projects, but it's just 18 lots. If we take one out, it really hurts the feasibility of it. As a matter of fact, the return of investment that we look is pretty hit if we take one out. That's why I've been fighting between our team and pushing Chris to help us with how to put one extra lot. So hopefully the names make more sense now. Anything that you may need, we have an office here in Louisville now. We have one office in Hillcrest Road in Dallas. Most of our projects so far in residential development had been in Dallas. So this is going to be the first one outside of the Dallas area, right? And to be completely honest with you, the reason why we started looking here is because we're living here since like 8 years ago. So we started looking around, we started driving, and we really love what's happening. We like the area, and we start evaluating and running numbers, and hopefully this could be something that we can have the chance to develop and make it whatever the city is expecting for it.
Daniel, how long have you guys been in the residential in the US development?
12 years, Troy.
12 years.
Yeah.
And do you guys have a similar size project like this, comparable in size?
Yeah. In area, no, but in volume of US dollars, yes. Our main product right now, it's developments of townhome complexes, 8, 12, 24 units. So as far as volume, if you're talking in dollars, we had a little bit higher than this. Obviously the land and the amount of construction that you put in the land and those kind of projects is way higher, right? I mean, this is a land development project for us. I don't know if I'm clear with that. I'm sorry to interrupt, but our main goal here is to develop the land and bring custom builders from the area to get in. And this is a part of the talk that I really want to use your guidance with, because obviously I've been reaching to 7 or 8 custom builders around, and you have more experience than me to know who you can probably point out to be a better option than the other one. We know how to build. We don't have experience doing custom homes, so that's why we don't want to do it. We want to develop the land, keep a couple of lots. If we can keep 3, that will be good, pretty good, and the rest just put in the hands of the people that really know how to develop. Obviously, following a route and a path that when we create the HOA aligned with what the city needs, complies, and is aligned with whatever I think everybody wants to keep seeing around here, like the country living feeling home, trying to avoid, even though I live there, but trying to avoid what's happening next door, and just making Cooper Canyon what it is. It's a great area for new families to come and live and enjoy this atmosphere that I think you have it in a bubble, because if you look around, anything feels like this anymore. So we're not planning in building, Troy, if that helps in the question that you just asked.
Yeah, just so you understand why we're asking is we have had in the town, we have had a situation where we had a developer of a land property
Okay.
that failed. I mean, he failed.
Correct.
And the town had to pick up a bunch of this. So
Correct.
the quality of the financial backing of developers is really important to us. And
I understand.
so that's
That's totally understandable. I appreciate the time. And I don't know, probably if everything goes good and the numbers run the way we're projecting, we can probably keep more lots, but I don't want to be too positive now with this market. From the time we start dealing with this negotiation with the owner of the land up to today, the market is totally different. And I'm confident that this segment of the market is a little bit less harm with the situation of the market and the interest rate, right? Because whoever wants to buy or aims to buy a land to build a 1.2 to $3 million homes, I think is not affected as much as the people who's looking for buy their first home at $450K, right?
Is that your price point, about 1.3?
We don't have a price point. This is something that I need your recommendation to. We thought about putting a minimum of 4,000 square foot per lot. I don't know if that's a number that rings your bell or not. The only reason why I'm doubtful right now is because of the interest rate and the cost of the materials going high. If we could probably reduce it a little bit or just keep it as low as 4,000 building area, right? So as far as if your question was, I'm sorry.
Trying to get a range for the
Sorry. We're aiming at just put the product in the market at 450,000 per lot. That's a little bit it's a little bit high and above the market, but I do believe that this will be a pretty unique private gated community in Cooper Canyon in 1 acre lots. I know there are great and gorgeous properties around with bigger pieces of land, but this particular product, I believe, and what the numbers say, and we believe it, they're right, is like the people needs this size of product around here. So I'm positive that we can get.
great. Well, we will have more questions for you perhaps when we get to discussion.
Good. Thank you very much.
Any other public commentary? In that case, I guess we will close the public hearing and we'll move on to our consent item number 4, which is approving the minutes of the July 24th meeting. Are there any comments on the minutes or do I have a motion to approve? Comments on the two. Thank you. Second. All right. All in favor? All right. Unanimous. I did. Okay, so now we move on to our action and discussion items. We're going to discuss, consider, and make recommendations to Copper Canyon Council regarding the concept plan for Pilot and All Estates being a 20.018 acre land situated in the Sea Survey, abstract number 270, Denton County, Texas, being important to the tract of land described to Pilot and All Farms Limited. The address of the property is 1700 Bishop Lane, Copper Canyon, Texas. So we'll open discussion and we can pursue more questions. I guess my first question is, Chris, you've looked over the revision and they addressed the questions we had last time in terms of turning radiuses and fire truck access.
Yeah.
So as far as you're concerned, this now meets our requirements.
Yeah.
Okay, and also I noticed they've got some drainage in there yet, which is I guess just an early preliminary.
Yeah. In fact, just looking at the site a little bit more, they went ahead and added one on the south and one on the north because there's a drainage divide through the property. And then the sizing of those will be determined later.
Right.
But they do have some extra room and they got to go bigger.
Okay, so committee members, did anybody have any comments that they'd like
So
to make?
first of all, thank you, because you reacted, I think, to every single thing that we brought up last time. So
Yes.
appreciate the responsiveness and the fairness of that very much.
And I also do appreciate while we're in, because I don't know if you guys saw, they did come in with kind of an interim plan that was kind of more of a little windy with land. Unfortunately, it just couldn't work in terms of the requirements we have and them getting the number of lots. So I also echo, thank you for putting some thought into this and trying to adjust to our requests. So thank you.
Yeah, a question, minimal question. So there's a note on the back section of the lot on a split fence, basically. Is that intended to go all the way around the property? Is that just the notes just at the back, but it's for the whole?
Yes.
Okay.
So let me just make an observation. and Chris might have a comment on this. One thing that you might want to consider, and of course, I know you're not doing the building, you're going to hire builders. It might make some sense to have the houses on lots 14 and 13 actually face our main road rather than facing interior, because, you know, people that drive down the road like to be able to see the fronts of houses rather than having just giant walls and fences. So again, I know you can't guarantee that, but I think that would be a suggestion I would make. It would make it a lot more friendly to the neighbors, as if they faced out instead of facing in, you know, because a lot of developments, everybody faces in and then you have a giant wall around the outside and it's just not very friendly looking. No, the driveways would have to come from the inside, right? But they would come to the back of the house, the front of the house, the facade of the front could face the street. And so they'd have more like a more, rather than having just, you know, swings and things in the backyard right there by the street, they'd be more like the front of the house. When people drive past, they can see the design and architecture. Yeah, they could drive in from the back or they could come around the side. That's just, again, we can't make that requirement.
That's interesting.
But I think it's something you might want to consider. One of the other,
I'm thinking of privacy in your backyard.
yeah, but you know,
So your backyard would then be, that'd be a good question for the builders.
yeah, the builders will have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But you know, to some degree, that makes it a more attractive neighborhood if people drive past and see the fronts of houses instead of the backyards with the high fence and, you know, whatever. But again, you have limited building areas. You mentioned 4,000 square feet. You got some challenges on these lots as it is. So following up on the question, you know, what kind of fence are you thinking around along the front, along Orchid Hill? Have you got any thoughts on that yet? Yeah, please speak up here so we can, yeah. Yes, thank you.
Yeah, we talk about it and we're actually proposing the steel split rail fence around the whole neighborhood, just like we were kind of looking around the developments are around the area. And then we noticed like that one in Boot Ranch.
Yeah.
Has that one. So it's just like kind
As
of
opposed to 6 foot privacy.
exactly, kind of to match what was already in the area.
Thank you. I think that would be nice. A couple other questions. One is just your name, Pilot and All Estates. Did you have any trouble registering that, or have you registered it? Because there's a whole town section called Pilot and All on the other side of the road, and they own the land immediately adjacent to you, or would own the land immediately adjacent.
You get one where I want to keep that name, part of that name, because of the relationship of the original owner with the area. This thing, I'm talking to you.
Okay. I don't really care.
Yeah,
I'm just asking for business practice. You know,
Yeah.
when you go to market it, because there is Pilot and All Park across the road, and those are Pilot and All Estates. And your name people think that you're associated with them or something.
Is that the name?
That's the Pilot and All Estates.
Interesting. Yeah.
So anyway, it's just
I never
a
looked at
question. The other question is more an engineering question or whatever, is the address of this property currently is on Bishop Road. How tricky is that to move it to addresses on Orchid Hill and eliminate that address? Is that a big deal? No, I don't think so, right, Troy? And there's,
They'll apply.
just application and eliminate. So if there is no address on Bishop Road, that's important.
okay.
Other comments, questions? Sure. Yeah, oh,
So,
yes.
we talked about the lot size not being inclusive of the street. Was that accommodated for on this new plan? It is. Okay, and then.
You mean the lot width?
No, it's the-
No, they need.
So that has been, okay.
Yeah.
And then there was also discussion on having an entrance or talking to the owners on Bishop Road or that have Bishop Road to make an entrance from Bishop Road. Was that approach taken at all? Was there any discussion regarding the use of that road and accommodating that into these plans?
I'll just answer that.
We didn't talk about it formally with the owner. Because one reason we didn't want to explore the chance of an easement with the owners because this is a private road. So I didn't want to expose the future owners of this particular private gated community to have only access through Bishop. It will be cheaper for us to do it. Because if we, as I was telling Jeff, we just, before we started this talk, we can probably put 4 of the lots in front facing Orchid, and then get access through Bishop with 1 cul-de-sac. Probably the numbers will run better for us. But in my opinion, I mean, as a developer, I don't want to give the access to this particular kind of development based off of an easement in a private road. The land behind is owned by the same owners that own this part. So I don't have an idea what could happen in the next 20, 40, 50 years. And to be honest with you, I believe that a gated community with this kind of feature as far as road could be a little bit more inviting to some of the market because of the privacy that they could have. So that's the reasoning behind Kim. Why we didn't
I'd like to comment on that because I spent some time down there last week and I originally had brought that up too. Does it make sense to go through Bishop? But I was looking at the lots and all the trees are along Bishop. There's like 1 or 2 other trees in this entire development, right? And I'm thinking, you put an entrance there and you're gonna have to whack out probably another 10 trees or so.
Actually, there's a bigger problem. The bigger problem is that across Bishop Road is owned by the people who own it.
Right.
And they own the other side.
Yes.
So
This is a great barrier.
well, I'm willing to bet you that we end up with McDonald's or CVS or a bank or a storage unit or something all along that. So we can't control it.
It's
because
on Village.
because so you could end up with commercial development along that side.
It's a good
And it would
point.
be far better to have your own private entrance rather than have to drive through the back of the McDonald's to get to your property.
Right.
So I think your judgment was good on that.
Yeah, and I do like the idea of just having 1 entrance there.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's a
Well,
lot of
unless-
bikers that go back and forth, and one of them is me, by the way. Don't honk your horns at me. But just having everything concentrated in 1 area versus 2, I think is a safety thing too.
Well, and the third problem with Bishop Road was it's very close to the turn, and that is already 2499 Bishop Road is already very dangerous and be awful to have cars coming out, kind of backed up around that corner while people swing around to the north. So I hear your thought, and we did discuss all of that, but I think his judgment on staying off of Bishop Road's a wise move.
Yeah, and I just to build on that point, I remember from the beginning, I believe that half of this private road is owned by Highland Village and half of the road is owned by Cooper Canyon. That's what I heard in the beginning. So it even make it impossible for me to think at the first part. But hopefully it can work with 1 access.
Did you buy that other lot from? You kind of some nice synergy there, and kind of.
You know what, Jeff? I try to ask, but when they told me it's another county, I'm like, I need to deal with 2 counties to get. Yeah, probably let's work with 1 first. So yeah, and I don't know what they plan to do with that, but obviously it's an interesting piece of land, commercial wise.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, Dan, I got a quick question. Speaking of Bishop Road, those trees that we see on the plan, is the expectation that y'all are going to preserve those trees or what? I haven't had a chance to, I know some of them are kind of scrub trees and some are not, but as you guys develop that property, is there the intention to preserve those? And along Orchard, are y'all going to do any type of additional trees for screening?
First part of the question, Troy, if you walk the property, a lot of these trees are pretty old trees. some of them are dry already. So no doubt, right? This is right. We plan on keeping what we need to keep. Because probably it will be right on the fence. It's exactly on the fence. So if we can get to a point that we can keep whatever needs to be kept and it's in good condition, that's the purpose, to keep as much as we can. As far as in the front, we haven't planned more than you see there. But if this is something of a requirement, we can evaluate it. I don't know.
There's only one good tree along the front of the property. Most of it is just stuff that's got to go anyway. But I guess the question is more is really when we end up with builders, what are the builders going to do, right? Because I know you're just developing land, you're going to sell the lots. And so it'll be kind of how do we and you deal with the builders in terms of their ability to make them attractive lots rather than preserving the existing scrubby trees.
I could be wrong, but I'm open to your recommendations. I do believe that the HOA that we create should be hand in hand with you. You have a lot of experience with good things and bad things that happen in the county. So I'll be more than happy to put particular dots in the HOA for particular lots. Obviously, I don't want to put more restrictions in my sales process, but I don't think that, I mean, every project has to have any landscaping somehow.
So Troy, when we work through the HOA agreement, let's make sure that there's some provision for trees on lots along Orchid Hill and of some variety. We can include that in the HOA agreement, I think.
Right. So when they come out with the landscape requirements, then that's where you kind of plug in whether you want 2 trees per lot or 4, whatever that number is.
Yes.
Certainly.
And that could be something, I don't know, Chris, if you can help with that, but when we build in the cities and we have a particular number of trees for a particular number of square foot of livable space. I don't want to go all around the lots, but probably just an orchid to make it more attractive entrance and more high-end luxury.
Right, trees.
Subdivision, I think.
One suggestion is if there was a push to put in landscaping or do that, then we'd request an HOA lot through there that could be maintained by the HOA. That would obviously impact the land and they're so tight. So maybe an easement or something along those lines, but any kind of, decorative landscaping that's more than someone would typically have in their own backyard. We would want that to be controlled by the HOA. So it's guaranteed to be maintained.
Well, we also not clear to me, I don't remember, along Orchid Hill there, the space between the street, does the town have any of that? Or we have an easement along the north side of the street, right? Is this already, and this incorporated, I'm not questioning, I'm just asking about our standards. So that there's that outside the property line between the concrete and the fence. That's already town property, isn't it?
You're talking about on Orchid Hill proper, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, so the town already is responsible for mowing and maintaining that strip of land anyway. So any trees that are there are already on the town property.
So would you, I guess I was thinking that the idea would be the landscaping would be interior to the subdivision.
I know I'm talking about what's on the land right there now.
Yeah.
And you're talking about what's to come in the future.
Yes.
Different point. But I guess my point is that the town has done a very poor job of maintaining all of the property along our city streets.
Yeah.
Because they're hard to mow and difficult. So I think we will have some responsibility to deal with the outside of the fence property, because you're not going to want to leave all that weeds and stuff out there when you develop these. Right. So just so you know, we recognize that we've got some obligation to help you make that strip attractive. Perfect. Okay. What else? Go ahead.
How wide are the streets? The road?
24.
24?
You have it on the
So just share a little bit more. That 24 is very similar to what we've done in other locations. It'll be a rural section, bar ditches on either side.
Okay.
So no curb and gutter, just and no sidewalk. Based on what we're looking at right
Yeah,
now.
no sidewalk.
Correct.
So I might make one other observation for the benefit of my fellow committee members here. Chris, you and I can talk a little bit about the frontages, because one of our requirements of the town is the 200-foot frontage for 1 acre lots. And you notice that there's at least 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, maybe seven lots that don't have the 200-foot frontage. But we do have an exception in our ordinances for, what do you call it, the cul-de-sac?
Yep, that's exactly what it is.
Cul-de-sacs that says if you're kind of on a curved portion, you can have dispensation to make it smaller.
Yeah.
So that's why this plan does meet our standards, but it meets the exception to our normal standards. I don't know if anybody had a question on that. That's, if you wonder why do they have these little narrow, how do you get away with that? We have a specific provision for that, in part to create more creativity in the shapes of lots.
Yep. Yeah.
And so that's what it is. So if anybody had any questions on that. Okay. All right. So yes, unless there are no further discussion, I think I would entertain a motion to recommend this proposal to the town council.
So do we have to make a decision on that minimum size?
No,
We're gonna do that.
no, we're good.
Somebody else does that.
Well, the minimum size, they all meet our minimum size.
No, I'm saying the size of the house and.
Oh, the size of the house. No, we can't.
That's later.
That's someday in the future. This is just the plan. Yeah.
I'll make a motion to present this to town council.
Okay, thanks.
Second the motion.
Second, all in favor? Right. Unanimous. Thank you again for coming in. We appreciate your input. And again, thank you for listening to us.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Really appreciate it.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you. You'll see us again. All right. Having no other business on the agenda, then I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn. Thank you. All in favor?
All right.
Thank you all for attending. Sorry, it's such a short meeting. I know we like to have much longer, more fun meetings.